Hi everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria, and today I'm going to analyze Jasmine Tyler's recent What I Eat in a Day video. She called it The Diet That Changed My Life, Weight Loss, Healthy Recipes, and a Week of Cooking Easy Meals. So let's get right into it. Looks like she's starting her day with a little bit of fitness, I think maybe some Pilates, yoga, fusion.
This will help you feel that way. And my cats were good.
So the reason why I decided to analyze Jasmine Tyler is because I've watched a few of her videos, and honestly, I love her personality. She is very positive. She has a really healthy relationship with food. She gets really excited about food. She loves to cook, and her overall energy is just very warming, optimistic, positive. And I also think she could benefit from some of my nutrition advice. Okay, so looks like we're about to get into the food. I've watched this video already and she doesn't discuss what's in this cup. I'm assuming it's coffee or some kind of caffeine. It's very popular to consume, especially in the morning. And caffeine isn't really doesn't have a role in a health promoting diet because it raises cortisol. So especially if you're having it on an empty stomach, she hasn't had anything to eat yet in this day so far, and she already did some exercise. So following it up with caffeine actually raises cortisol to the point where it's too elevated, and that actually promotes insulin resistance and fat storage. So you're going to want to get off the caffeine and replace this with some carbohydrate, with some fuel, with some cellular energy, because that's what carbohydrates are. They are our cellular fuel to generate ATP, which is our cellular energy currency, and that's what all of our cells use to do their job within our body.
Over here, so I'm so excited.
Okay, so let's get into her breakfast coming up here.
Apple pumpkin oatmeal. It's the perfect cozy fall breakfast.
Okay, so she's making a fall breakfast. It's fall weather where I'm at too. Actually, it's like 30 degrees outside and kind of ice raining. Yeah, so she's making a warming comfort meal.
And as I was cooking, the hanger kicked in.
So this is typical. She hasn't eaten anything yet so far today, and she's done some fitness. So her body's like, you need some fuel before we start lowering our metabolic rate and get tapping into gluconeogenesis, because by this time her glycogen stores have all run out. And that's when, you think you want to be in gluconeogenesis because it's when you start converting fat into fuel and protein into fuel. But gluconeogenesis actually utilizes protein for glucose production more than anything. And that actually decreases lean muscle tissue and lowers the metabolic rate.
I demolished a lot of the apple slices, and then
So it's good that she's listening to her body and eating those apples.
caramelized them with some coconut oil, maple syrup, and pumpkin spice.
Okay, so you can caramelize apples without coconut oil. Just use water in your pot with probably a little extra maple syrup and the spices.
I cooked that on medium heat.
Okay, so here's the
I added some
oatmeal.
vanilla extract, and this is the perfect breakfast. I added some cookie butter on top. You could also add
Yeah, you don't need to add the cookie butter. I think she says,
peanut butter or almond butter for some extra protein.
yeah, you don't need to add this for extra protein. Actually, oats, especially if you're using a whole cup of oats, which is 2 servings, that is 10 grams of protein just there in the oats, which is a perfect amount of protein for breakfast. Women only need 46 grams of protein a day. That's what the standard USA RDA, or recommended dietary allowance for protein, is for an adult woman. So, if you're trying to maintain or gain weight, this is a good option. Otherwise, you want to stick to the oats and apple, sweetened apples minus the coconut oil.
And that is it. I always have a huge sweet tooth when I wake up in the morning. I am trying to eat more savory breakfast for like blood sugar balancing
Okay.
purposes, but
Yeah, so this is the comment that really got me. She wants to eat more savory breakfast for balancing her blood sugar. So she's under the misconception that having a sweet tooth or having sweet cravings or sweet breakfast is not good for her blood sugar. And I'm going to actually pull up a study. So this is from the National Library of Medicine, which means that this is peer-reviewed medical data here, or peer-reviewed clinical data that's went through a rigorous research process to be put up on PubMed Central and to be utilized for public knowledge. So this article by H.P. Hemsworth is called Dietetic Factors Influencing the Glucose Tolerance and the Activity of Insulin. And right in the first page here, it says, it is now established that the sugar tolerance is impaired by starvation or the taking of diets with a high content of fat, whilst it is improved by taking diets containing an excess of carbohydrate. So that basically says that high fat diet or a diet that's insufficient in carbohydrates or starvation diet promotes insulin resistance, and a diet containing excess amount of carbohydrates improves insulin sensitivity, especially when combined with a low-fat diet. Okay, so that's just a little bit of education where, like I said, it's a misconception that sweets, simple sugars, and complex carbohydrates are not good for blood sugar balance when they actually are the fuel and the food source that promotes insulin sensitivity. Carbohydrates coming from fruits, sugars, and starches.
There's nothing like a warm, cozy bowl of something super sweet. And
yeah, so this meal is great, again, minus the cookie butter and the coconut oil. Okay, now it looks like she went for a swim. I actually went and did some exercise outside today despite the cold weather. You know, it's so good for you to just get outside regardless of what the weather's like and enjoy the fresh air and the elements. And it actually helps you adapt to your environment better. So that's what she's doing. But I think she lives somewhere a little bit warmer than where I do. Okay, now we're getting into the next meal here.
on the beach. If it was sunny, I would have loved to
Okay, so she's still talking about the food. All right, her beach visit.
a baked potato, so I meal prepped a bunch of them so I could have leftovers. I first baked the potato by covering them with olive oil, and I baked them for 20 minutes.
Okay, so she just said she's craving a baked potato, and she meal prepped a bunch, and she covered them in olive oil. So you don't need to add oil to your food. You can actually bake potatoes, and they come out great. Just poke little holes in them and bake them, and they'll be good enough. And it looks like she put oil all over her Brussels sprouts too. Again, Brussels sprouts, to get this caramelized effect, you don't need to put oil on them. Just steam them and then pop them in an air fryer or the oven, and they'll come out just like this.
And then I took out that tray and massaged some Brussels sprouts with balsamic vinegar.
Ooh, and now we've got animal parts. So let's look what her plate looks like. Okay, so this is her lunch plate. There's a lot of saturated fat and protein, animal protein content here. And I just want to show you guys a something that you can check out on nutritionfacts.org that talks about protein intake and IGF-1 production. IGF-1 actually promotes tumor growth in our body when it is out of balance. So when it's elevated, and this actually here, IGF-1 as one-stop cancer shop. What do you think helps breast cancer get into the bones? IGF-1 and the liver, IGF-1. So IGF-1 promotion drives cancer growth in our body, and that comes from protein intake. So you can actually look, you know, at these articles here. It's all peer-reviewed clinical research, and also here how to lower IGF-1 with plant-based diet. And it says just a few days of walking and eating whole healthy plant foods helps to lower our IGF-1 and reverse cancer cell growth. So eating animal products like this actually drives cancer cell growth in our body, and it also drives heart disease. So the American Heart Association recently published a meta-analysis that confirmed their 60-year-old recommendation to limit saturated fat and replace it with polyunsaturated fat. So saturated fat comes predominantly from animal foods. Polyunsaturated fat comes from plant foods. And this reduces the risk of heart disease based on their trials. So just all more reason to eat plant-based. This meal could easily be plant-based and easily be high carb, low fat. All she'd need to do here is take the oil out of the Brussels sprouts, take the oil out of the potatoes, eat all the potatoes that she made, which was like 4, and get rid of this chicken sausage, and you have a healthy, high carb, low fat, warming, comforting lunch.
Plate all the Brussels sprouts.
Okay. And then I think she goes on to add butter to her potato here. Yeah, again, more saturated fat that drives heart disease and cancer growth. Okay. So, like I said, this could be healthy. Add more potatoes and you got a healthy meal there. Okay, now she's back in the kitchen. Let's see what she's up to.
Making homemade broth, and this one takes the.
So I actually had already said that I watched this video earlier, and she said she's making homemade broth. So I was expecting her to pull out some vegetables, and look what happens.
I've just roasted some.
She pulls out a whole tray of bones. This is what I give to my dogs. Oh, it's so gross. And yeah, like this promotes disease in the human body. It's completely unnecessary. And I want to mention that the nutrients within the tissues and bones of these dead animals came from the food, the grass and the grain that these animals were eating, and that's what they stored in their tissues. So this is a secondary form of obtaining nutrition from your food, where it's already passed through another animal, their body's already processed it. So this is like the glucose and mineral remains of a dead creature, just to put it into perspective. Okay, so she's making a broth here, and she adds her ingredients. Oh wait, that's for something else. I went a little too quick here. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, looks like she's doing a cycling workout. That's great. So she's all about fitness and healthy eating, but I think she needs a little help in the healthy eating department and just understanding what eating healthy means. So she's got the right idea here, being, having a lot of plant-based foods in her diet. But it says here, for the broth, I roasted beef and chicken bones. Then I slow cooked them with water, carrots, celery, onions, ginger, garlic, shiitake mushrooms, kombu, kelp, salt, and apple cider vinegar for 16 hours. So you could just exclude the beef and chicken bones here and keep the rest of it, and you have a healthy vegetable broth for your soup. Okay, so now she is at the gym on the bike. I love biking. Indoor or outdoor biking is so wonderful. I'm trying to find the clip that she just showed where she was cycling. There we go. Yeah, so I highly recommend recumbent bikes, using spin bikes at the gym, getting out on a bike outside, depending on what kind of climate you live in. So that's why I promote indoor and outdoor riding, healthy form of aerobic fitness. And you want to aim for at least 30 minutes, 6 days a week of aerobic exercise for the metabolic benefits and the health benefits. Okay, so next she is going to make
making ice cream. I think I want to go
homemade
for, like,
ice cream. Yeah, she's going to make homemade ice cream here. And what's so funny about this, and I'll just play it without the volume, is hold on. You can totally make homemade ice cream so easily with frozen bananas. So she's starting with the blender, and she's got cream in here, and she says, I love making wholesome treats with high quality local ingredients. But the foods that she's choosing to use promote IGF-1 production and or an elevated amount of IGF-1 production, because we have a normal amount that gets regulated by our human growth hormone. But when we have too much IGF-1, it promotes cancer cell growth in our body, tumor growth in our body. So, and these foods promote that. Instead, you can use plant milk, you can add just frozen bananas, and it makes for a creamy, delicious dessert. I think she's going for a very traditional homemade ice cream. I think she said she has an ice cream maker. And all I have to say about that is, that's the very traditional way of making ice cream. And now she's adding butter to it. And there's our strawberries. So she's making strawberry ice cream. Here's all the ingredients that she's using: organic cream, milk, 5 egg yolks, honey. And then she adds it to the ice cream machine. Our back in the 40s and 50s, when people were making homemade ice cream, and they had freezers that were around to be able to keep it, those people now, all not all, but the incidence of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, which are the 3 leading causes of disease and death in the United States, and I'm pretty sure worldwide as well, and it's amongst the older generation. It's because they grew up eating stuff like this, very high saturated fat, animal protein based diets, that became very that destroyed their health over time as they got older. Okay. So then she had a friend over. Okay, next up is some sushi. Yeah, so sushi is another thing that you can do completely plant-based and healthy. I love going to sushi restaurants, and I like to get cucumber rolls, mixed vegetable rolls, ocinco rolls, asparagus rolls. You can eat as much of it as you want. But this raw fish here, this is full of PCBs. This is full of unnecessary fats, saturated fats, and omega-3 fatty acids that you can just get from having the seaweed and the vegetables. It's too high in protein, and raw fish in particular is high in parasites. So very toxic. Fish that, and fish is overfished in the oceans right now. So it's a not very sustainable or environmental option to choose when you can just choose vegetable options. And rice is beautiful. I love rice and soy sauce. Super healthy, but not the fish. Replace the fish with something else, something plant-based for health. Because I know that's what her goal is it's health. And she wants to promote a healthy diet, but what she's promoting is a high intake of animal products for herself and for her audience. Okay, so here we have a breakfast. I think this is the next day, and she's having figs, beautiful raw figs. But then you see on the plate, there's all these solidified bovine secretion cheese sticks. And why not fill the whole plate with all the figs? Get rid of the cheese and just have a whole plate of figs. That would be a healthier option and a much more nutritious option, and you'd be down regulating that IGF-1 elevation that comes from eating the animal products, the animal protein and fat. Okay. Let's see what's up next. Okay, yeah, now she's at a bakery getting some bread. Bread is a great high carb option. Make sure your bread is low fat and doesn't contain animal products like oil or eggs or butter. But otherwise, bread is a great option. And I want to just take note of how excited these girls are over this bread. I mean, look at their faces of pure joy, because we love carbohydrates. It is our foundational food source. We need to consume carbohydrates for their energy generating potential. When we don't consume carbohydrates, our health suffers. Like it said in this article here, when we don't have enough carbohydrates, our sugar tolerance is impaired by starvation and high content or a diet high in fat. So that means when you're restricting carbohydrates, you're impairing your insulin sensitivity. So eat all the carbs, the carbs make these girls happy. Okay, next up too, more carbohydrates. Look at this. Look at how excited these girls are all so excited to be having these treats. And unfortunately, these are probably containing oil, butter, eggs. When you can have options, actually, I'll show actually my website or my recipe playlist on my YouTube channel, where you can have your treats and completely guilt-free and health promoting. So if you go to my channel and go to playlists here, it will show you all of my yummy high carb, low fat recipes that I've done. Vegetable soup, a lot of these are all for like the fall winter season. A vegan donut recipe, smoothies, ice cream, um, French fries, cinnamon sugar cake. These are all guilt-free options. Potato broccoli soup. I just uploaded pumpkin bread yesterday. So you can have your cake and eat it too, by keeping your diet high in carbohydrates and low in fat. And you'll reach your health, fitness, and weight loss goals and be able to maintain them effortlessly. Okay, almost through this here. Yeah, so they want the sugar, Okay, here we go, another meal.
The things that I really love to focus my diet on. I no longer have food rules right now.
Okay, it's great that she doesn't have food rules, but this meal, again, this looks like animal protein here, animal, dairy on top. This is a grilled cheese with sauerkraut. So again, a lot of cheese, a lot of saturated fat content, a lot of protein. And just because you don't want to have food rules, you want to have food freedom, which is what everybody wants. And it's so healthy and creates, like I said, she has such a wonderful, healthy, positive mindset towards food, a healthy relationship with food.
I love sourdough bread.
But you can't let your yourself forget, that even though you don't want to have food rules for yourself, that the science that's out there in regards to what's healthy for humans and what prevents disease promotion in the human body is non-negotiable. Saturated fat increases the risk of heart disease, and animal protein increases that IGF-1 and promotes tumor growth and cancer in the human body. So that's why you want to make the switch to plant-based. That's why you want to make the switch to high carb, low fat.
And lots of butter and cheese and warming
Yeah, butter, cheese,
curries and beef chilies. Nothing.
beef chili. This is not healthy. Hopefully Jasmine will watch this video, because this could easily be a bean chili. This could easily be like a chow cheese, grilled cheese, which is a vegan option, that instead of is high in saturated fat, it contains polyunsaturated fats. All of this can just be swapped out for something healthier.
Nothing is off limits in my healthy lifestyle.
Again, that's great, but in order to eat the way that she wants to and for nothing to be off limits, she has to make changes to the ingredients that she's using. So she doesn't need to change how much she's eating or what she's eating. She just needs to change the ingredients so that they become health promoting instead of disease promoting.
As the seasons have been.
Okay, so let's see. Now she's just showing some stuff that she bought from the store. And I want to get into this last part here where she's putting her soup together.
a solo Friday night. Then I got back and I started heating up some ghee, which is clarified butter, and I
More animal fat. Oh boy. And she's very young. And it's unfortunate because breast cancer in young women is actually on the increase. It's on the rise. And she needs to be aware of that because her diet is promoting that right now.
added minced garlic, minced ginger, some soy sauce, mushrooms, and that super gelatinous bone broth that honestly it looked
Okay. This is disgusting. This super gelatinous bone broth. Uh this is animal fat. This is animal tissue. Um,
looks like jello. That's how much collagen is in that. You know it's gonna be good. I
okay. Now, there is a big misconception about collagen, and I'm going to use the analogy of milk with it. So, people used to believe that you needed to drink milk to make milk, like for your babies. But do cows need to drink milk to make milk for their babies? No. Um, And so it's the same concept with collagen. We don't need to eat collagen to make collagen. Actually, it's important that we're getting in enough vitamin C every day to support our natural production of collagen. And within the diet that she's showing, it's actually, I don't think she's getting enough vitamin C because she's not eating enough fruits or vegetables.
I also added some seaweed and some rice noodles. So this isn't technically ramen. Maybe it's like pho or something, but honestly, it's
Pho.
just delicious mushroom noodles. If you
So, yeah, this could easily be made plant-based, and she actually mentions that coming up.
wanted to make this plant-based, all you would do is instead of using beef or chicken broth, just use vegetable broth and
That is a very good tip. And that's what I suggested earlier in the video, to just make that broth plant-based and just use the vegetables. Or you could just use store-bought or just use like vegetable bouillon, or a lot of times I'll use soy sauce just with water to make a broth, or miso paste. All great healthy plant-based options.
instead of adding eggs on top like I did here, you could just add some tofu, like get it all nice and crisp.
I don't understand why she's not using the plant-based options. Like her diet is very high in animal protein and saturated fat, which are not healthy. So hopefully she watches this video and checks out some of the resource links that I mentioned, so that she can make the switch before it's too late.
And that would be a perfect topping and it would be plant-based. But since I wanted to have some animal protein today, I just add
Okay, she's having too much animal protein though. Like her breakfast was figs and cheese. Her lunch was beef, chili, and grilled cheese. And now her dinner is this beef beef broth or bone broth soup with eggs on top. It's too much animal protein. It's too much fat. It's not enough micronutrients. It's not enough carbohydrates.
added some jammy egg
And I think that's it for the video. So she keeps
for the colder
mentioning,
months. So that's pretty
this her diet is very comforting, and full of comfort food for the colder months that are ahead of us and that are, it's starting to happen now with the temperature changing. But like I said, you can go to my playlist on my YouTube channel, and all of these recipes, I've lost 15 pounds since this time last year at least. And then in total, I've lost almost 40 pounds since coming onto a high carb, low fat, plant based vegan diet after recovering from metabolic damage and having an eating disorder. So this works. And this is where your food freedom is at. This is where your lean body goals are at. This is where you can be healthy and eat your cake too. So I hope that you'll check out my recipe videos. And if you have any questions, I do coaching. I'll leave a link for my website in the description of this video. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Hopefully Jasmine checks this out. Please share it with her so that she can not only, continue to enjoy her foods, but also just make the little healthy swaps that she needs to in order to make her diet on point with her goals. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Yum.